How's it going? Welcome to another episode of Lost Like Mike. I am your host, Mike Gonzalez. Thank y'all for joining and for subscribing, for your comments at lostlikemike@gmail.com. So today is going to be a little bit different. I had intended on doing an entire episode on, I wanted to do an episode on anger, particularly because I had a few instances of accelerating, like, I don't like losing control. I don't like losing, it's a big, unveiling of the truth, but I'm sure I've talked about my issues with control in the past. I'm not a controlling person per se. I just enjoy, I'll step away from situations where I am not in control. I imagine that would be what flying would feel like, when you're in an airplane and you put your life in the hands of somebody else, kind of, but not to get too far off topic. Basically, it's a different kind of control that I'm speaking of in this situation. It's more of like emotional control of the way that one presents themselves to another. So, you don't like being, I don't like allowing anger to take over, or whatever emotion, you want to act in accordance to what you want to do, not just, what I mean, sporadically, just kind of. One example I'll start off with by saying would be my son's mom, who is very talented in the ways of pushing buttons and evoking certain emotional response from people. She's very talented. And I try to limit my interaction with her as much as I can. But anyway, a situation happened the other day where I had to speak with her, and I get off the phone with all of this sort of rage, or but then I had to take a step back and say, you know what, that's inevitably what she wants, is to know that she still has that power over me to, at a choice couple words infuriate me and put me in this other state of being. And so that being said, really not too much more to go into with that, other than to say that reflects the aspect of not surrounding yourself with people that do that to you, right? Anyway, it's so strange just to be on the to have no control over that moment, just be from 0 to 60. But gosh, I can't even get one sec. Excuse me, man. I got almost like an allergic reaction. Sorry. Anyway, I had a situation where I was in a parking garage downtown. I'm often in parking garages, by the way. Sometimes because I'm at my day job, and other times at my night job. Wow, that's pretty specific. Just to say that I do shows at night downtown, which often puts me in a garage, parking garage. And sometimes I'm in, anyway. And when I was going into the parking garage, there was this exodus of vehicles all leaving. I think they were all for a matinee show at the downtown theater. And so if you've ever been in a parking garage, it's a spiral of floors where you're going up and up to where you could find a spot to park. But every time that you go on this loops, you have to sort of be at the kind of, be where you have to wait for the person that these cars that are leaving to allow you to go on to the next level. Anyway. Needless to say, I was running late, so I needed to get parked and down to the venue. And there just wasn't a lot of kindness going on. Not a lot of people letting me, up. But I was contained. I was fine, whatever. I just was going through the motion. And then I see a spot, but I would have to go against the grain. I would have to go down this, like a little, I would have to rely completely on the kindness of the people coming down the spiral. So they would have to allow me to take a little bit into go into the direction of the downward spiraling traffic and go like against the one way, just to do a little quick S into the spot. And I put my blinker on, I kind of motion, and then I take the right into the turn, and the cars just shove their way and block me from getting into that spot. So now not only am I not in the parking spot, but I've left the train going up, and I'm just stuck. And all these cars are just coming down in this downward spiral. And nobody wants to let me out. I mean, they obviously see that there's a blank spot right there, an open spot to park. And I start to get a little bit aggressive because I'm thinking, well, I absolutely can't wait, 30 minutes for all these cars to come down. I'm going to need to make a move. And up ahead, just past all of the downward traveling cars, is like a corner where there's not parking per se, but there's just an empty spot, just like a section, right? So now I'm thinking I have no choice. I have to go into that spot, turn around, and join the downward spiral of people, and then come at the parking spot from the opposite way. I mean, the entire thing is a bad idea, so I don't even know why I'm bothering telling this entire story. But the point is that I go through all the motions of doing the 3-point turn, turning around, and now there's a vehicle in front of me that's not letting me join the downward spiral. It's an old couple. I try to attribute a certain amount of it to being just general old person slowness that's just causing them to just not get out of my way. But I figure if I could just get them to move up a little bit, maybe I can even angle a certain way and get into that spot I initially wanted. But I noticed that they're letting just everybody cut through and go upward. And I'm saying to myself, I'm not going to wait another 30 minutes for this person, this kind Samaritan, to just let everybody go in. So anyway, they move up a little bit, but I noticed that the angle's all wrong, and I'm not going to be able to hit that spot. I'm not going to be able to turn into that parking spot, not unless everybody leaves and I just have an opportunity to just figure it out. So I figured I've got to go up. And there's nobody coming up, and there's nobody in front of this couple, these people. And so I'm like, well, now what are you waiting for? And you're not letting me in the spot. You're not letting me go forward. You're not letting me do anything. Why aren't you moving? And just that culmination of all of that pent up anger. I mean, and who knows what's loaded into that, moment, but I don't know. I think I honked the horn and yelled move at the same time, and they moved up just enough for me to get around them and to leave them. Obviously, they were going to hang out there for the rest of the day. I don't know what they're doing. But I screamed, you know, and was so out of character that I was almost comical when I got around the corner thinking, what was that? Like, but, you know, a part of me believes that they were doing that on purpose to, you know, I guess, people aren't like that, but I remember as a child, like, you don't see that side of your parents, or maybe you do, but I can remember some of the first images of seeing my mom click past that point of anger, you know, in different scenarios. It's like situations with the family or with my dad or whomever, maybe even with me. But the contorting of the face, the changing of the expression, and thinking, I don't like that look on you. Even with, you know, my dad, and, you know, he was, early on, he seemed real serious, but in different other situations, he couldn't be serious. He was a very good humored, funny guy. Like when you were in social situations, he was always with a quick joke and always being silly. But I just remember a lot of the times him being serious at home. Anyway, but yeah, that difference. So I don't like to do that in front of, like, my kids. The other day, my daughter was, we were playing with these stuffed animals, and we were like, okay, well, like, I made a little noise, and like, we're gonna act like different animals, whatever, and try to guess which one's what. So she would like hop around and be like, oh, that's like, I think I had like one of those headbands that were like with bunny ears, and I put it on the cat stuffed animal, and I was like, boing, 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 or whatever. And she was like, oh, you're a cat, you're a rabbit, or whatever. And then somehow it was like, I think it was either she made a joke and said, oh, look, who am I? And then acted like her mom. Oh, yeah, because her mom has a tendency of stubbing her toe on things. So she's like, oh, who's this? Oh, oof, I hit my foot. But then she goes, or maybe that was my joke, whatever. But she goes, who's this? And then she gets her stuffed animal and starts going, rah, rah, I hate this game, rah, rah. I'm so mad, rah, rah. And I said, who's that? Rah, rah, rah. This game is stupid, or whatever she said. And I said, this game? I said, are you acting like me? She said, well, yeah, that's you playing your game. And I was so embarrassed that she would think that's, you know, what comes to mind when she's trying to describe me, or like, you know. Oh, and then she said, oh, look at me on my phone. Oh, that's the one that digs deep. I wish I could explain why I do the things that I do, but, you know, to her, as far as the distractions and the things that, you know, they're 100% intentional. I do engage when we play and when we do things, but sometimes when, you know, if your mind starts to wander and you start getting whatever, sometimes I find myself just reaching for a phone or something just to chase away those thoughts. Probably, incidentally, I know you hear a lot of probably background noise. The family is here. So anyway, my intention was to do an entire show about anger issues and like what's going on with that, or why people do what they do. I don't know, sort it out, what have you. But it's kind of been eclipsed this week. This week I caught a some type of stomach bug, and it just decimated me. Like, just the other 2 times. All right, the other day, I think it was Thursday, I'm at a show, and it just hits me like a ton of bricks. Like just, I mean, cold sweat and the whole thing, and like, it was like the perfect storm. I mean, I felt awful. I felt clammy. Just wanted to be home. And then it's starting to mist and rain. And then in the middle of the show, I mean, I just want to go home so bad. And in the middle of the show, my guitar player says, "Oh, well, we have to take all the equipment today because we're playing at some house party on Saturday. It's not going to be like here because it's St. Patrick's Day, and they have other plans for our spot." Oh man. And because it was so busy, I had to park like 5 blocks away. So, I mean, it's Street Fighter going on inside my belly button, and I don't know what's going on, but I feel really horrible. I stop and buy medicine at the store to try to make me feel better. And then the forecast is for storms at the end of the night. So here I am. Here comes the end of the night, and the plan is for me to get my car, bring it upstairs to the street level. We're on the river level. We'd be on the street level, and then I would haul the stuff upstairs real fast with my guitar player's help. So I don't know. It just seemed fair at the time, but I go up and I see that it's super windy. It's gotten cold, and it's drizzling. So then I have to walk 5 blocks in the essentially the rain, this drizzle. I mean, I get back, I come down, and it starts to really come down. I'm sitting in the car. My stomach's like, end of the dragon. I mean, there's just full combat going on at this point. And it's starting to come down. I'm thinking, I'm not going to make it. I don't know if I can make it 10 minutes, much less the 5 minutes it's going to take to wait for this rain to slow down. I have to go. It's just miserable. And so I run down in the rain. I run down the stairs to the river level. And I'm like, dude, we doing this or what? And I was like, I'm just going to put all the equipment into my car because, I don't have time to wait for your car or for you to do anything. It's just, we're done. And I ended up, we took all the stuff. I was chilled to the bone. I was, soaked. And the whole time I'm driving home, I'm thinking, I gotta make it home. I'll be all right. But I maybe slept for an hour or 2 that night. It was horrible. And it was the thing. So Friday I didn't feel anything. I'd taken some other kind of medicine that my wife had given me to get me through work and what have you. I thought, oh, that was an interesting 24-hour bug. I'm glad that's over with. Well, by Saturday, I mean, it's like it came back with a vengeance. And then top it off, we're playing at a house. They told me where we're gonna play, we had initially played for this family. They own like a store, a shop that sells interesting things, and we played in their parking lot, and it was nice. There was a lot of people. They enjoyed it. It was all good. And so when I was being told about the show, they said, "Well, you remember we played at that place? We're playing for them again." So in my mind, I said, "Oh, okay, we're playing at their store in the parking lot again." And so all day I was like, "Well, it's cold and it's raining. Is this going to work out? With we're going to get canceled or whatever." So I said, "Well, can you send me the address? I don't remember where it's at." So then he sends me an address, and it's like a house. Google Maps, it shows a picture of a house and tells you you're 30 minutes away or whatever. And so I was like, "Is it a house? What's going on?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, it's the owner of that store's birthday, and we're playing at their house." And then out of literally nowhere, boom, it hits me again. I start getting clammy, and it's like, the rumble in my belly button, part 2, Back with a Vengeance, the sequel. And so we were going to set up outside, but then it's raining and it's cold, so they said set up in the house. Very strange. It was very wonderful, by the way. I'm not going to try to sit here and be, rude and say, but it's very homey, very, but they set us up in a corner right next to the restroom. And if you know my experience with, people or me feeling like the world is just, constantly showing me love in that respect. I didn't like being set up right next to the restroom, but I digress. We're okay. It was okay. But like they were sitting on couches and on chairs. If you're not a musician, if you've never played a performance in the middle of somebody's living room, then it's an experience everyone should experience. Everyone should try. It's very different. Very surreal, because it's I don't know if it's normal and in any culture, but we don't know the people, so it's like you're playing for strangers, and not like in a sort of frat party sort of excitement kind of way. It's a weird vibe. I like the little children. There was like little small babies, and I gave them instruments to shakers, and you know what I mean, like tambourine, like auxiliary tambourines, and like one of them had like a little pretend guitar, and they were enjoying themselves. And there was like a couple of older ladies dancing. Very cool, as far as like they were very welcoming, very warm, but I'm just it's hard to describe. In normal circumstances, I'm sure it would have been different. It was just that I was so not feeling well that it made it a nightmare. No fault of theirs or the house or the party or anything. It's just, but here's a saving grace, was that it was going to be a shorter show. Since it was a house party, it was this special engagement. It was going to be 3 hours, and it really started to kick in about 2 hours in. We're just like, um, I felt like I wasn't gonna make it. And then right at the last song, I mean, I must have just been like this cold, clammy sweat on my. I mean, just awful looking. I mean, I was barely hanging on by a thread. And then the birthday person was like, "Hey, could y'all play another hour? Because we would really like it if you played another hour, and we'll pay you." And it's funny because that um, autopilot kicks on, and I'm like, "Sure, let's make an arrangement with my guitar player. He's gonna sort out the money part of it." And because he's typically the one that wants to call it a day. And I could have just said, "I'm sorry, I'm just really not feeling well. I got to book it." But I was like, "Sure, no problem. We'll play for more money." I just was never more disappointed in my impulse. But we played it from the point of barely hanging on. I played for an entire another hour. Oh, it was awful, man. I mean, performance-wise, it's fine. I just must have looked like I was, really into the show because I was just falling apart, squirming around like, just let me go home. But, I mean, they must have been like, "Oh, look, Joe Cocker." I mean, but I somehow made it through that. But I just was so surprised that it was back. And then I proceeded to stay up all night, to where I did not go to church, did not do anything. I mean, just awful. Just awful. But, I mean, I often made jokes early on. I used to make jokes about how there's nothing like getting sick that kickstarts a diet, Like you lose that weight, pretty quick. But, yeah, I did not enjoy it. Nothing makes you gets you away from your own internal drama faster than, being sick. But I will tell you one thing though, it does make you feel um like all the physical properties of the world, all the science on the planet, all of that we are susceptible to. I am susceptible to, right? And you might be saying to yourself, "Well, yeah, of course, that's, a given." But sometimes I personally feel like the things that happen to other people. And sometimes I have to remind myself and others, like, that science that applies to all other things applies to me too. You can't just eat all of the fatty foods and sugar and think, "Oh no, that only affects these other people and that doesn't affect me." I use that one on my daughter because her diet is garbage sometimes, and I'm always advocating for a healthier diet, and so I find myself saying that to her mom and whatever, that those those things will affect her the way that they affect other people. That there's nothing special about us that says, "Oh, that's only for others." And no, it's for us too. Anyway, but sometimes when we get caught up in self-actualization and like these heavier existential questions, sometimes it's just good to be floored by a sickness like a stomach bug to make you realize that, you know, this human condition is sometimes just what it is. You know, you're just like everybody else. And anyway, so this is our new the new general length of the episode. I'm gonna try it out between 30 and 40 minutes. Just checking in, seeing how everybody's doing, and talking about a few things. And let me know if it's a little bit better, a little, if you like it, plus or minus. Leave your comments, send me an email, and I look forward to speaking to you next week. And I hope to feel better soon. Okay? Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you soon.